Hi, this is Chris Mazzara, author of Food Love and the Tariff Diet, and today we're going to talk about how to stay fat, or the top 5 dieting mistakes. So the first thing that you need to know before we get into the list is that there are 2 types of people when it comes to weight loss. The first type of person, they have to restrict themselves from their favorite foods. Their relationship with food is really, really toxic, and it's super important that they don't ever go there again. This is about 20 to 30% of people. And the second group of people are people that can't stand being restricted from their favorite foods. They go on a diet and they freak out because after a couple days, they're like, oh God, I can't have ice cream, I can't have pizza, I can't have pasta, whatever the deal is. And they ultimately end up failing in the diet because they can't live without their favorite foods. They can't figure out how to integrate this new diet and not give up their favorite foods. This is about 70 to 80% of people. And if you're in that first group, this video is probably not for you. But if you're in that second group like me, then this video, this podcast, whatever medium that you're listening to this on, this is definitely information that you're going to appreciate. So, dieting mistake number 1 that everybody seems to make, and it's kind of obvious, it's nearly impossible to not make this mistake, is that people restrict themselves from their favorite foods. There is a 99% failure rate when it comes to dieting, where people cannot stick with their diets more than 6 months. And if you think about it, it kind of makes sense. 1 in every 100 people actually sticking with a diet that they read in a book or, saw on TikTok or saw on YouTube or exposed to in some way, 1 out of every 100 people actually sticking with it and having it work for them, that kind of makes sense. But why is the failure rate so high? And what I believe is that the failure rate is so high because people hate restricting themselves from their favorite foods. If they have a short-term goal and they're trying to fit into a wedding dress or a bathing suit or, something that's, seasonal and short-term, pretty much any diet's going to work because someone can suffer it out and be without their favorite foods for a couple weeks or a couple of months. But why it doesn't last long-term is that people can't handle it. Food is a really big deal for people. It's been an emotional comfort since they were little. There's attachments that we have to food called food conditioning and all these different things that come into play. And so we can't handle being without our pasta or being without red meat if you go on to a vegetarian or vegan diet. We can't restrict ourselves from our favorite foods. And that's diet mistake number 1. It's probably the most important mistake. And in my book, Food Love, that's what I explain and go over again and again, that we can't push away from our favorite foods. We actually have to use our favorite foods. We have to use them as gateways in order to be able to lose weight. Diet mistake number 2 is that people end up eating foods that they don't legitimately enjoy, and you can't do that. For the short term, you can get away with anything, but can you imagine just having food on a daily basis, that you're just kind of shoveling in and you're like, oh God, I really, really don't like it. Maybe the taste isn't so bad, but it's just, you don't feel like having steak at breakfast, or you don't feel like having a salad the entire morning, or having fruit from when you wake up until noontime. Whatever it is, you can't have something, you can't eat food that you don't really enjoy. That's destined to fail. Maybe you can get away with it for a couple of weeks because you want to drop some weight really quick for a certain event, but after a while, it's not going to work out. And that's the second mistake that people make. You have to always eat the food that you love. If you're tired of diets that force you to give up your favorite foods in order to lose weight, only to put all that weight back on once you quit that diet, then I invite you to try my completely free online program that will help you lose your first 10 to 15 pounds without giving up the foods that you love. So head on over to foodloveonline.com and get started with us today. No credit card is needed. This is a completely free online program. Even if you're incredibly busy or incredibly lazy and nothing else has worked for you in the past, this can work for you. In 3 short videos, I will take you by the hand and get you on the road to losing weight, and most importantly, happily keeping it off forever. So head over to foodloveonline.com and I'll see you over there. Diet mistake number 3 is that people set a deadline. Sometimes these deadlines are events like their weddings or you're going on a beach vacation or something like that. But sometimes people say, okay, well, by the end of this year, I want to have dropped 40 pounds. And everybody loses weight differently. Sisters lose weight differently from each other. Brothers, I have 2 other brothers, and the 3 of us lose weight completely differently. And my older brothers are twins, and they even lose weight differently from each other. One brother can eat pretty much anything, never puts on weight. And me and my other brother, we just look at pizza and weight goes on. So, and it depends on age and genetics and hormonal reasons, seasonal reasons. So you can't put a specific timeline onto your weight loss. What you need to do instead is understand that when you get weight loss mastery, when you really understand how to take off weight whenever you want to, and the process of weight loss mastery is you got to be a pro at putting it on, which most of us are professional at that. You got to be a pro at taking it off, and you also have to become a professional at maintaining. Once you hit your ideal weight, you want to be able to eat your favorite foods, and then if you put on a couple pounds, you can take it off, and you want to do this 5 to 10 pound hover dance that you can do once you hit your ideal weight. But you don't ever want to set a deadline, because ideally what we want to do is that we want to make this a long-term thing where we're always either losing weight or maintaining weight, but we're doing it happily. And so if after the first year we take off 20 pounds, but those are permanent 20 pounds, those aren't 20 pounds that as soon as we start eating differently or eating differently from the way that the diet is saying that we should, we're going to put the weight back on. We want to take off permanent weight. And so setting a deadline is the same as setting a trap. You don't want to do that. The 4th dieting mistake that most people make is that you don't want to force exercise. Exercise is an amazing thing. It's a privilege. It's something that we get to do. It should never be viewed as a punishment. And sometimes when a diet will say, okay, you need to walk a couple of miles every single day, or you need to get onto the treadmill, there's this obligation energy that comes with that, and people feel forced, like they have to exercise in order to lose weight. And as soon as there's a connection, as soon as there's a have to associated with anything, like I have to eat this food in order to lose weight, or I have to exercise, your mind and your ego and your emotions, all those other things that are inside of us that really run our lives, they're going to get involved. And you may not hear the voices inside, but it's going to be like, well, how come I have to do that? How come I have to exercise? And so that's why I consider myself a nutrition, a food foundationalist. I believe that when you get your food life in order, then adding stuff on top of it, whether it's exercise or yoga or whatever you like to do, that's easy because it becomes an added bonus. But anytime it's a have to, or if it's forced in any single way, it's not going to work, and it can actually be counterproductive. So definitely don't force exercise. Let those things come naturally. And if you set the foundation in mastering your food life and getting yourself emotionally and psychologically okay and really psyched with the food that you're eating and how you're feeling in life, then adding those extra things after that becomes a pleasure and a privilege, and definitely not a punishment. And our 5th and final mistake is that you definitely don't want to diet with a partner. And you'll see and you'll read in a lot of books that they actually suggest that, to have someone there for emotional or psychological support, whether it's a spouse or a best friend or a coworker. And with all the clients I've dealt with over all these years now, what I've seen consistently is that there's more frustration in that process because the spouse will lose weight faster than you'll be able to, or your friend will lose weight faster, or something happens, and everybody loses weight differently. You don't want to set yourself up to fail from the beginning because you're partnering with your spouse, and sometimes men tend to take off weight faster than women do. Not always, but in the beginning, they can take off 10 to 15 pounds, usually pretty quick, where once a woman emotionally and psychologically gets what they have to do, there's more of a permanent weight loss associated with that. So you don't want to get into any of these stereotypes, or you don't want to tie your success to somebody else's, because if they start doing better than you or losing weight faster than you, which isn't necessarily doing it better, then sometimes that can be a setback, because you think like, well, what am I doing wrong? And in actuality, you're not doing anything wrong. You're losing weight at the pace that your body and you emotionally and psychologically need to. So if we can avoid those top 5 things and little by little keep increasing the quality of the food that we're eating, which I talk about in my book, Food Love, it's called food laddering, and we avoid any unnecessary emotional or psychological stress, especially with all the tariff conflicts and the tariff wars that are going on right now. And I talk about that in the tariff diet. If you can avoid these things and just do things little by little at your own pace, you're going to see the weight come off, and it's going to come off permanently and stay off because you are emotionally and psychologically happy with what you're doing. So if you'd like more information about what I'm talking about, you can head over to the next video where I'm going to talk about the different ways that you can lose weight from day one. It doesn't have to be a day 20 or day 30 thing. You can start losing anywhere from 2 to 3.5 pounds a week right away. Go check out that next video.